Abby Wambach, one of the best soccer players in the U.S., recently told a story about the opening of Angel City, a women's soccer team in Los Angeles. It is the first majority woman-founded and led National Women's Soccer League teams. On opening day, as she was walking to her seat, a little girl and her dad were sitting in the stands, cheering loudly, when the dad caught Abby's eye. He yelled to her, "This is the only world that she will know." And I started crying when I heard it. Because I want so desperately for a world of equality and justice to be the only world that my daughter and my son know too. Because at its heart, patriarchy is damaging to both men and women. Patriarchy says that because a person is not shaped like another person, they are somehow inferior. Patriarchy says that God is male because the only voice that has been heard for God in many circumstances has been male. Patriarchy says women have their roles and they must stay within those roles or face dire consequences. Patriarchy says that men must keep their emotions in check and any man who shows emotion is lesser than. Patriarchy represses any thinking that is different than the thinking of the man who is in power. In short, patriarchy does a lot of harm to both men and women. Now, Community of Christ hasn't always been perfect, but we have worked hard to counteract the voices of patriarchy within our history and now. Emma Smith, for instance, grew up in a time period where few women spoke out against patriarchy. She was meant to play a supportive role in her own life, to do what her husband told her to do, and to be who her husband told her to be. And for the most part, she did. But not always, thank goodness. After Joseph Smith Jr.'s death, Emma did not join the church led by Brigham Young, and for the rest of her life, she condemned polygamy. Emma Smith and her son Joseph Smith III led the reorganized church on the grounds of common consent and the worth of all persons. While it didn't always live up to those values, Emma Smith's incredible bravery and courage helped to give birth to Community of Christ as we know it today. And honestly, I think we get a lot of our pluckiness from her. Just like Emma, Community of Christ has learned to say no to the othering of people. We have learned to say no to exclusive communities where some matter and some do not. And we have learned to say no to the injustice that patriarchy has caused and continues to cause in the greater world. When someone feels othered, they will always feel less than. It makes them feel less worthy, feel less valuable, feel like they are less of everything. In the way of Christ, no one is othered. Emma also encouraged us in her protest that exclusive communities must not exist within the church. There must not be one community that is more important or more significant than any other group. Not because of the amount of money given, not because of theological knowledge or politics, not because somehow there's this idea that God loves some group more than another. If all are not welcome, then no one is welcome. And we as a church are working on this. Finally, as an organization, we must do as Emma did and stand up against the injustice and patriarchy in the greater world. We must disavow the idea that God is male and that the only voices that matter in churches are male. We must, as men, women, and people of all genders, decide the share of work and responsibility so that it is equal. We must, in short, be more like Emma. And if so, I hope and pray that one day I too will be with my daughter and my son yelling at the top of my lungs and cheering, "This is the only world they will know." I pray it be so. As always, feel free to like and share and comment. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.